The global automotive industry right now is going through a massive tectonic shift, and the legacy Western automakers out there, and they are absolutely sweating bullets. Please listen to me carefully here, guys, because if you walk into a dealership today, looking at brands like a Mercedes or Audi, right here in the United States, looking for a flagship luxury electric vehicle, they are going to look at you and they are going to quote a price starting at around $80,000. And that is just to get your first look at it, foot in the door, because you are here today, paying a massive premium just for the car, the badge sitting on the hood of the car, and a bloated, outdated supply chain. But what if I told you guys that halfway across the globe right now, an automaker has completely shattered this reality, tearing that ridiculous pricing matrix into pieces? Welcome back to the shop, everyone, for this teardown. And today, we are not doing a normal car review. This is some superficial, glossy car review, but rather we are putting it on the lift now. On the lift for a forensic teardown of the car, of a vehicle called the Geely Galaxy E8. This is a massive 5-meter-long machine, boasting a terrifying drag coefficient of 0.199. It rocks a massive true 8K resolution screen and a bleeding-edge silicon carbide electrical architecture. It packs acceleration that rivals expensive supercars, but the absolute physical shock is right here, because this specific vehicle has a starting price of just around $25,000. Do not jump to conclusions just yet, because this is not some cheap disposable plastic car, and there is absolutely no corner cutting here. This car is a rolling, breathing nightmare for the European and American automotive establishment, because it uses the pure laws of physics to prove a brutal, uncompromising truth. Premium electric vehicles do not have to be luxury items, reserved strictly for the top 1%. So turn on the shop lights and let us see what is hiding under this sheet metal. The most common and frankly laziest argument against affordable electric cars in Western markets is that they lack a true driving dynamics pedigree. Purist gearheads and traditional automotive journalists now love to claim that these new electric vehicles might accelerate incredibly fast in a straight line, but they completely fall apart in the corners. They assume these cars use compromised and heavy and unrefined chassis architectures, but this is precisely where the Galaxy E8 delivers its most fatal engineering blow to the competition. Let us get this thing up on the lift and look at the bare bones, because it is solid, because the E8 is not built on common frames, some modified internal combustion engine frame. It is engineered from the ground up on Geely's Sustainable Experience Architecture, otherwise known as the C platform, if that acronym does not sound familiar to you. Let us translate it into brands you definitely know, like Volvo, Polestar, and Lotus. Geely is the parent company of these legends, legendary European marques that we love so much. And when you look at the bare stripped chassis of the Galaxy E8 in its full glory, you are looking at the exact same billion-dollar research and development effort that underpins the track-ready European sports sedans. We are talking about a highly modular architecture that utilizes hot-stamped ultra-high-strength boron steel in critical crash zones, ensuring maximum structural integrity. Move over to the suspension geometry now, and you will find a highly sophisticated setup. You will see a double wishbone setup in the front, and a 5-link independent rear setup as well. Utilizing cast aluminum subframes. Using cast aluminum, it drastically reduces the unsprung mass of the vehicle, which ensures the tires maintain perfect contact patches with the asphalt even under heavy lateral G-forces. Furthermore, the battery pack is not just dead weight, hanging off the bottom of the car. It is integrated directly into the floor pan as a stressed structural member in the chassis, acting as the rigid backbone of the entire chassis. This precise engineering results in a near-perfect setup. 50-50 weight distribution and a torsional rigidity of 33,000 Newton-meters per degree. To put that in perspective, that level of stiffness, it actively rivals dedicated carbon fiber supercars, preventing the frame from twisting under immense torque. Geely essentially took the premium handling characteristics of a true sports car and the zero-compromise crash safety engineering check of a $70,000 European sports sedan and scaled it down to a massive high-volume production line. Now let us shift our focus to highway efficiency, because in the North American and Australian markets, where vast distances dictate consumer buying habits, range anxiety is the ultimate hurdle. Historically, traditional legacy automakers have solved this range issue by brutally forcing massive, incredibly heavy 100+ kilowatt-hour battery packs into their massive trucks and SUVs. It is an inefficient brute force approach that completely ruins the handling dynamics and massively increases the charging times. The engineers over at Geely took the harder, much more sophisticated route by focusing entirely on obsessive forensic aerodynamic optimization. The Galaxy E8 boasts a drag coefficient of just 0.199, which is a number that should terrify the competition. To put that engineering marvel into perspective, it slices through the atmosphere with less aerodynamic resistance than a flagship Porsche Taycan or a Tesla Model S. Achieving a sub-0.20 drag coefficient in a large 5-meter executive sedan is an absolute engineering masterpiece that requires manipulating fluid dynamics at a microscopic level. These engineers did not just slope the roofline and call it a day. They smoothed out the entire underbelly of the vehicle, creating a completely flat floor that prevents high-pressure turbulent air from getting trapped under the battery pack. They implemented an active aerodynamic front grille system that remains entirely sealed at highway speeds to route air cleanly over the hood. Those louvers only open when the highly advanced thermal management system detects that the battery or electric motors require active cooling. They use flush-mounted door handles, specifically engineered aerodynamic wheels designed to extract high-pressure air from the wheel wells, and a meticulously crafted rear deck lid. That rear design creates a clean, immediate separation of the boundary layer, entirely eliminating the vacuum-like low-pressure wake that physically pulls most cars backward at 75 miles per hour. For the consumer, this means the electric motors use only a fraction of their energy to push the car through the air, squeezing maximum range out of every single lithium-ion cell. But we cannot talk about the battery without addressing the elephant in the room, which is battery safety and thermal runaway. The Western market is incredibly anxious about lithium-ion volatility, especially after seeing terrifying videos of older electric vehicles turning into unextinguishable infernos after a severe crash. The engineering response with the Galaxy E8 is nothing short of brutal, because they did not just meet global safety standards. They designed the Aegis battery safety system to absolutely humiliate those global standards. This is not just a box of battery cells bolted securely to the frame. The Aegis system utilizes a grid-like, ultra-high-strength aluminum alloy crash structure that acts like a solid military bunker around the sensitive and critical battery modules. The true forensic genius lies in the details, the thermodynamic management, because they tested it. They subjected this battery pack to direct tests, a direct catastrophic nail penetration test in the lab. This is the absolute worst-case scenario for an electric vehicle, which immediately triggers a violent short circuit within the battery system and extreme heat generation during the test. The Aegis system survived without catching fire, without exploding, and without any thermal propagation to the surrounding battery cells in the modules. They achieved this by using advanced technology, aerospace-grade aerogel insulation for every cell, between the individual cells for total isolation, and a rapid response liquid cooling architecture that instantly suffocates the intense heat spike before a chain reaction can ever occur, mathematically engineering the fire risk down to a statistical anomaly in safety standards. We have to examine the powertrain next, because the ultimate test of any electric vehicle is its thermal efficiency and power delivery under sustained extreme load. In its top-tier all-wheel drive configurations, the Galaxy E8 completely abandons the standard outdated 400-volt electrical systems used by most of the legacy industry. It utilizes a true 800-volt electrical architecture paired with highly advanced silicon carbide inverters. If you follow modern electrical engineering, you know that silicon carbide is the absolute holy grail of power electronics. It allows the power inverter to switch electrical currents thousands of times per second with almost zero thermal loss. Compared to traditional silicon components, this matters massively when you drop the hammer on the highway, because heat is the absolute enemy of efficiency and speed. The silicon carbide inverters allow the dual motor system to dump massive amounts of amperage into the motors instantly, without melting the copper stators. This translates to a blistering 0 to 60 miles per hour launch in just 3.49 seconds. That is violent internal organ rearranging acceleration, packaged inside a comfortable executive family sedan. Moreover, this 800-volt architecture fundamentally solves the charging bottleneck by drastically reducing the thickness and weight of the high-voltage copper cabling throughout the car, saving precious weight. When you pull up to a 350 kilowatt fast charger, this system can accept extreme kilowatt inputs, adding hundreds of miles of range in just the time it takes you to grab a cup of coffee. Now let us move inside the cabin, because the interior architecture exposes exactly how far behind Western legacy automakers really are in terms of digital integration and raw processing power. How far behind Western legacy automakers really are in terms of digital integration and raw processing power. Western legacy brands will charge you thousands of dollars extra for a massive piece of plastic that just glues 3 separate lower resolution monitors together. piece of plastic that just glues 3 separate lower resolution monitors together. Geely completely rejected that fragmented, outdated approach and instead spanned the entire width of the dashboard with a single uninterrupted, massive 45-inch piece of automotive-grade glass featuring a true native 8K resolution, creating a single screen of this magnitude that can physically survive the extreme temperature fluctuations of a car interior from freezing winters to scorching summers without cracking is a manufacturing triumph. But a screen this massive is entirely useless. If the software rendering it lags or glitches, the experience is ruined, which is where the Galaxy E8 flexes, its massive silicon muscle, a manufacturing triumph of engineering. It is powered by the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 295 chip, which is the absolute bleeding edge of automotive processors, featuring a dedicated neural processing unit for insane artificial intelligence computing power with lightning-fast speeds. It handles the 8K graphics rendering, the advanced driver assistance systems, the complex thermal management algorithms, and the infotainment hub, simultaneously with absolute zero latency. If you want to see where traditional automakers fail, just look at their losses. Automakers are bleeding the most money. Look at their laggy, glitchy software that forces consumers to just default to Apple CarPlay. Geely solved this by literally buying an entire smartphone company called Meizu specifically to build the operating system, resulting in a flawless ecosystem where the three-dimensional car model reacts in real time to the physical doors opening without a single dropped frame. To wrap up this technical teardown, we must talk about the physics of true luxury, which is defined by noise, vibration, and harshness control. Without a loud combustion engine to mask the sound, electric vehicles expose every single tire roar and wind whistle to make this car feel like a sealed bank vault. At 80 miles per hour, the acoustic engineers waged an absolute war on sound frequencies. They utilized double-layer acoustic laminated glass, not just for the windshield, but for the side windows, physically blocking high-frequency wind noise. They implemented advanced motor encapsulation, wrapping the electric drive units in specialized acoustic blankets to absorb the high-pitched whine of the inverters. Even the tires feature built-in polyurethane acoustic foam, acting as Helmholtz resonators to mathematically cancel out the specific low-frequency drone created by the rubber, impacting the asphalt, creating a rolling sensory deprivation chamber. Let us pull the camera back from this specific car and look at the massive global geopolitical picture right now. The sheer technological dominance of vehicles like this explains exactly why legacy boardrooms in Germany, Japan, and the United States are currently in a state of pure panic. We are seeing Western governments implementing aggressive tariffs of 100% on these imported electric vehicles and actively pushing to ban their automotive software and connectivity hardware. Do not let the politicians fool you, because this is not just about national security or protecting local jobs from cheap foreign labor. It is a desperate and entirely transparent attempt to build an economic fortress to protect a legacy auto industry that fundamentally cannot compete on an engineering level anymore. Western automakers are looking at a budget-friendly family vehicle running a pure 800-volt architecture, a sub-0.20 drag coefficient, and a flawless smartphone-grade software ecosystem, and realizing they are completely outmatched. They are software dinosaurs relying on fragmented, outdated electronic control units, while the competition operates with absolute vertical integration. They cannot justify charging massive premiums for these outdated platforms. For outdated 400-volt platforms, sluggish software, and terrible aerodynamic efficiency, when the global standard has been irrevocably raised to this new benchmark. This is the new benchmark for the entire automotive world. The global automotive landscape has officially turned the page now, and the era of accepting miserable compromises from legacy luxury brands is officially over for everyone. This car proves that the electric vehicle revolution is not just about reducing emissions, but about completely destroying the old established hierarchies of performance technology and pricing in the modern market. They are not just competing against a cheaper car, they are competing against a fundamentally faster and more agile engineering philosophy. So I have to ask you guys watching right now, what do you think about this massive shift in the industry? Would you still drop $80,000 just for a prestigious chrome hood ornament? Or would you choose pure, unadulterated physical engineering at a fraction of the cost? Let me know down in the comments below, because this debate is only going to get hotter. If you appreciate the gritty forensic technical deep dives we do all of this technical work here in the shop. Hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and make sure notifications are turned on so you do not miss our next mechanical breakdown. Until next time, keep driving on the open road and keep questioning the machine.